the biggest concern is just the customer experience. Like if you try to impede on the experience and you try to, let's say, rank keywords that aren't relevant to your product, you're trying to boost, your competitor keyword, all this kind of stuff, that's a big no-no. Or if you're just paying for your product, right? The seller's just paying somebody to buy their product and boost rank, right? Like those are, big no-nos.
Hello, I'm your host John Cavendish and welcome to season 4 of the Amazon Strategist Show. The show is all strategy with no hacks, no silver bullets and no magic pills, just real practical strategies to grow your Amazon business. Today I am joined by none other than Seth Hurd, the founder and CEO of BrandExpand. BrandExpand is an e-commerce acceleration platform built to help high-performing sellers scale smarter, faster, and actually in some automated ways, which I'm looking forward to talking about. So with a background as a seller himself, Seth brings first-hand experience and of the challenges involved in launching and growing products, and he founded BrandExpand to directly address those pain points. So Seth, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, John. Appreciate it. Excited to jump in and chat more.
Yeah, very excited. So we're just talking just before we got going about BrandExpand and the platform and what you do. So if you tell me a little bit about BrandExpand and what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of businesses, it just came from a pain point that I had as a seller. I started in 2015 in Amazon, which is funny. Thinking back, I thought I was late to the party in 2015, but it turned out to be a good time to get started. And as I was scaling my brand, I noticed how difficult it was once you get over 7 figures. You have diminishing returns, especially on marketing and ad spend, and just driving external traffic becomes more and more challenging to do at scale. And it was around that time I did some consulting work and noticed a lot of other sellers were having this problem. And we had used other services. I did not have a good experience at all. They were agencies, they weren't softwares, right? So we set out to just test it out. I tested with my own brand to start, saw how well it was doing. I actually was able to 5x my EBITDA in a year before exiting, and it's still the brand that I sold is still growing today. So I took that idea, I started asking the people I was consulting with, like, would you want to try it? And they're like, yeah, of course. And then it kind of just snowballed from there. And then, around 2019, 2020, we kept kind of capping out our bandwidth in terms of like what we could do manually. And so, we were building the product platform because we wanted to automate the entire process. And in December of 21, we launched the BrandExpand platform, and we've done a ton since, built a lot of features, built our own deal site on the kind of the flip side of the coin, which we put just as much effort into, because it's, like we were saying, it's a vertically integrated B2B2C SaaS for e-commerce. So we own the entire integration, vertical integration, which is why we're able to drive traffic, high intent shoppers from our own network at reduced costs to our sellers.
Awesome. And so, can you tell me a little bit about what you were doing when you were consulting, and then what the SaaS actually does now?
Yeah, for sure. So back then, I believe the term was doing giveaways, and launches, and so, back then, it's kind of how it started, and since then we've evolved to do much more like automated fashion. The buyers go to the listing, they're leaving feedback on the listing. It's much more interactive in terms of how they purchase the product. That's why we call it an organic launch. And then they purchase the product. They actually have to leave post-delivery feedback on their experience, their packaging, the product quality, all these things. And then we give them points, which are redeemable for cashback. So the emphasis on the cashback is actually on the feedback itself, on the listing and post-delivery, essentially providing value to the brands and not on the actual purchase itself. And so that's kind of what differentiates us from any other platform, any other service that does this type of launch.
So you get cashback after they've done the activities they said they do. Right. And what kind of percentage of cashback do these buyers get?
It depends. So, anywhere from 50 to 100% of the product cost. It just depends whatever the brand is willing to pay. We call it the A cost, the ad cost of sale. So similar to PPC, you usually have a target A cost. The difference with PPC is when let's say you target a 70% A cost, you're going to be losing a little bit of money. But with PPC, of course, that internal traffic doesn't have as much juice is external traffic, getting customers from outside Amazon into Amazon, buying products, becoming Amazon customers. And so we see that the A cost that you set on our platform has a much higher return than that of PPC, because you're kind of pulling all of these external customers into Amazon. And if you have, subscribe and save or any type of consumable product, it's actually even more beneficial because you can typically get these customers to be repeat buyers from your brand. So there's a lot of benefits. And then we use AI to summarize all the feedback. So all the buyers need to go to the listing. Maybe there's a typo somewhere. Maybe the title doesn't make much sense. There's something wrong with the bullets or the images, something's lacking or A+ content, like anything, right? And then we take all that. Let's say you do 100 promotions, you're getting 100 feedback, and then we ship it to this AI prompt. It summarizes all of it, so it's going to take the most relevant information and then send that back. And we do that also for post delivery. So some common examples are a product's broken, or maybe the seller needs to do a bin check because Amazon sent the wrong product, right? There's a lot of scenarios that can result in potentially a negative review from a regular customer if you don't get in front of it. And so that's kind of what that platform helps with. It's really, the main goal is to accelerate sales and help accelerate conversion rates and improve the entire customer experience. And not just for Amazon, we do this for other marketplaces as well.
So accelerate sales, increase conversion rates, push.
Correct.
So what came to mind when you were sharing is, I was also a 2015 seller, so I started in 2015 and went through all those cycles.
Yeah.
And I remember the conical URLs and the super URLs. Does any of that stuff still work? And do you push sales through that or search, find, buy? Or how does that, is there anything to do with ranking as well that works with your system?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways because we're full omnichannel. Sellers can use links, right? It defaults to a direct link, but they can put a link, whatever they want in there. We also have the organic
their
launch.
Responsibility if they put anything that's
Yeah, exactly. So it's really up to them. It's going to default to a default link, and then you can choose whatever they want. And then we have the organic. We pull in the title of the product, the organic title, and then buyers are told to use a few keywords to find the product from there. And so it's generally how it works. And again, it's full omni-channel, so it really just depends on whatever the seller wants. We've done over 1 million orders. We get compliancy questions all the time, which is fine. Like, I totally understand. But we've done over 1 million orders through the technology, over 10,000 campaigns, never had any issues with compliancy. So I think we're doing something right. Amazon's really, their biggest concern is just the customer experience, right? If you try to impede on the experience and you try to, let's say, rank keywords that aren't relevant to your product, you're trying to boost, your competitor keyword, all this kind of stuff, that's a big no-no. Or if you're just paying for your product, you're right, the seller's just paying somebody to buy their product and boost rank, right? Like, those are, big no-nos. So the whole idea is, how can we improve the customer experience, improve, the brand's ability to understand their customers, position themselves better, and that's really our primary focus. And then also, make sure we keep our sellers safe as much as we can.
Oh, I love it. So what happens, just for me to get it right in my head, someone comes to your deal site, they see a deal they want, they're like, I like that, I get somewhere between 50 and 100% off. They go through your system, they buy the product, they then have to leave feedback or whatever the action items are. Your AI summarizes that, checks it's okay, and then releases the cashback. The points which
the points that are eligible. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, so it's a gamified deal site. I think Rakuten, Slick Deals, these are all examples of like deal sites that kind of do something similar. But it's very much like, we try to position it as kind of a modern deal site. It's like all deal sites, it's hilarious. We have a running joke in our company where it looks like all the deal sites are made from 1990, right? So it's very much like a new, I don't want to say TikTok Shop or Temu because I don't want to associate with them at all, but it's a fun gamified type of environment, and they have loyalty points for doing certain actions and providing value. Essentially, everything, the algorithm in our deal marketplace is around value providing to sellers primarily. So if they do good things that are going to provide value to these brands on Amazon and other marketplaces, they get kind of boosted up. If they do bad things, they get boosted down, and then eventually, if they keep doing bad things, we just blacklist them. And that's one other thing that really differentiates us is a lot of these agencies, I don't know any other softwares that do quite what we do. There's some that are similar. But the one thing that agencies don't do is what we call buyer quality protection, where we, our buyer site's like Fort Knox. Like we don't let buyers in that are, acting in bad nature.
Yeah.
And buyers try to do all sorts of things. Like some buyers make a business out of this. Like if they get discounted products, they can resell them, right? Or buyers can get products and then cancel them or refund them within the 30-day time frame, and maybe they get their money back before that 30 days and they return products, right? There's a lot of different ways that they can game the system. And over the years, we've found 99% of them, and we've put controls in place. So, it impacts what we call our sell-through rates. So sometimes we might not get 100% sell-through rate if you're doing an aggressive campaign. But the reality is the buyer quality, and that's a real metric in Amazon, buyer quality score, is much higher because these are authentic buyers that are acting in good nature, that aren't just buying hordes of products and then making a business out of it, essentially.
Love it. Super cool. I know that was a big issue when I was using platforms back in like 2016 and 17. I had a VA literally going through every profile of every person who applied to see what type of reviews they left, whether it's copy and pasted stuff, look at their buying history. Like it was such a pain. Yeah.
I'll tell you a little story. The reason, I don't think I've ever told this, but the catalyst to me starting this was I used another service. I won't say what service, but we did a bunch of promotions, trying to get traction for a lot of new products, whatever. And I went back and I looked I think it was close to 20% of the products had been returned or refunded. Wow. And these are products that you're paying a lot of money, to boost relevancy and whatnot. And so I went and I said, listen, like this money just came out of my pocket, and they offered me a 10% discount off of fees for my next campaign. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, so that was an example. I was like, you know what? Like, if this is where everyone's flocking to, this was a pretty popular company, and this is kind of how they handle these situations. Like, we're going to just build something better, and so that's what we set out to do. So
I mean, you guys have done that's a heavy lift. Building a marketplace side is a super heavy lift. Like, I understand software is fine, but building an actual functioning marketplace.
I totally underestimated how challenging this would be. But we took the hardest SaaS model, which is a vertically integrated B2B. Because if you think of like Uber and Airbnb, that's essentially what it is. You have the buyers, you have the demand side and the supply side. And to take those and to bring them together and ensure they work in tandem, because they have to scale simultaneously, right? If you have too many Uber drivers and not enough passengers, what's going to happen? The drivers are going to leave. If you have too many passengers and not enough drivers, what's going to happen? Passengers are going to leave. So you have to bring them in and grow them simultaneously, which is very difficult to do, especially when you're bootstrapped. So, but it's fun. It's working out. We've done a lot. We have both platforms established. We just launched the deal site in March of 24, which isn't too long ago, and so now it feels like we've kind of built the structure. Now we're bringing people inside, so this is the exciting part.
No, it's super cool. I love it. And it's very defensible because it takes a lot of effort to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
You mentioned Omnichannel. We're kind of Amazon centric in the Amazon Strategy Show. Most of our listeners are like,
for sure.
Which channels and what benefit do they have from this? Because we understand the Amazon benefit, but what about other channels?
Yeah, so we're full omnichannel. We've been full omnichannel from the beginning, which I kind of toyed around with the idea of being Amazon centric, but I really believe in omni, and because if history repeats itself, there's not going to be one dominant player forever. You know what I mean? Like, unless like what we know of like the whole system collapses. You know what I mean? Like America just doesn't allow monopolies and that type of behavior. So Amazon is still dominant, but there's going to have to be kind of a disruption in some way to bring in competitors, which is good for the overall population. So I think Walmart is, everybody kind of bashes on Walmart for being slow and super slow to the party, which is fair. But I mean, they have like 62,000 super centers around the States. Wow. And like if they just start replacing the ones that just don't have a lot of traffic, or just find an algorithm to figure out which ones have the highest potential to just turn into fulfillment centers. Like if you talk about getting products in under an hour, Amazon can't do that. Like unless the drone delivery really becomes a thing, which I mean, I think that's still pretty far off because people don't want this thing hovering over them. Walmart's in a position to do 1 hour delivery because everybody's a stone's throw away from a Walmart. So I think that's super important to get on there. Walmart has like 10% of the reviews that Amazon has for major competitive categories and products. If it makes sense, there's certain products that don't do well on Walmart. Target is also becoming more popular, but that's invite only. So there's only, I think, like 10 or 20,000 sellers on Walmart or something ridiculous. And then we see, of course, TikTok Shop has emerged a lot over the last year or two. So we're seeing a lot of TikTok Shop launches. And then last thing I'll say is, all these marketplaces, in terms of how they rank up your product, their algorithm, it's all the same. I mean, there's some nuances, like Walmart, for example. It depends how you're stocked at the local supercenters. That actually determines ranking more than Amazon. And same with Target, because they know they can get it to you faster if it's stocked at the Walmart across the street or whatever. But aside from that, it's all very, very similar. So the software works, and we drive traffic everywhere. I think we've driven to over 28 or 30 marketplaces now.
Wow. And just put the link in basically wherever.
Yeah. So we automatically import for Amazon, Walmart, Target, and Etsy. So you can automatically pull product details without SP API. Our technology bypasses API; it doesn't require that. And get it in automatically. But if you do what's called the other launch, you could do any marketplace. You could do Shopify, you could do Etsy, Chewy, anything, and then send traffic that way. And the other benefit too of these other marketplaces, we do what are called review requests, which are not incentivized, they're not even required. It's simply us asking on the brand's behalf, hey, if you had a good experience, whatever, leave a review. And we do that we don't do it for Amazon. Amazon is way too strict with reviews, so it's just not even worth it. But these other marketplaces, I mean, they're just trying to fight for market share. So social proof isn't as big of a barrier. And so we do that for these other markets. So if you want to get on Walmart, Target, TikTok, like any other marketplace, it's a really great platform. It still works exceptionally well for Amazon, and that's where mainly our users use it for. But other marketplaces is massively beneficial because we can still, do review requests for these platforms, and now we're helping with social proof conversions and sales velocity, which is like those are like the three main ingredients to explosive.
I agree. Cool. So, well, I guess when does a brand know that they're ready to use your service, your platform?
Yeah, good question. A lot of we'll have new products that don't really have any reviews or anything, and honestly, it's just you need to have at least 5, if not 10 plus reviews. Because if you drive a lot of traffic, you get a lot of exposure, you got a lot of organic customers coming to your listing. If you don't have social proof, it's not going to convert, so it's not going to stick. What we call stick. And also new products, Honeymoon. We just did a comprehensive case study. We've done over 10,000 campaigns. We took 8,000 of the latest campaigns that we've done, and I think it was like almost 1 million orders. And we combed through all the data. And in the past, this was our second comprehensive case study. The first one we found that Honeymoon products do in fact rank far better than older products. But this last one we did, interestingly enough, it was pretty much even. Like Honeymoon was the best, but mature products that were a year plus old actually did really well too. So it kind of threw us off because there's this idea that Honeymoon is like the best time. So I say that because ideally, if it's a new product, you have some social proof, you have A+ content, you have a good listing set up, you're basically ready to scale. You have inventory stocked, don't skimp on the inventory, and then you just use our software to just blast it off. And then if you have a product that's seasonal, maybe your busy buying season's coming up. You have a product that's acquiring long-term storage fees. You need to get it out of there, You have a product that ran out of inventory and you have to restock, and everybody knows when you run out of inventory, it's really hard to get back to your position you were at. So there's a lot of different use cases that works. Yeah.
Love it. And you said, ready to go, and you're ready to go. How do you charge for it? Yeah, how's the platform work in terms of fees, pricing, budget, and I guess credit? Is it credit based?
It used to be credit based. We learned a lot of lessons with the credit based. Credit based was really bridging the gap between our agency model and the SaaS. We moved away from that, and now we do strictly performance based. So rather than buying, let's say, 100 credits up front and then using those credits, within 30 days, now you just pay when you get a sale. So it's the same pricing relative. So so with the freemium, so you can sign up for free. It's either $6.95 per sale or 25% rev share. So whatever the product price is, 25%. On premium, it's $5.95 or 20%. And then enterprise, which are our biggest agencies, aggregators, accelerators, our biggest clients, we go all the way down to 10% rev share. So it's really, economies of scale really plays out. So the more volume they move, the better pricing they get. But we also, on premium and enterprise, they have a higher level of support. We really bring them into the organization onto Slack. We serve it as an extension to their agency. So a lot of these really large agencies, aggregators, accelerators will come on. We'll bring them on a private Slack channel, introduce them to our whole success team, and really they white label our software as an extension of their agency, because a lot of these full service agencies just don't have this type of technology. So it's just another way that they can drive sales to these brands.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And so they pay per sale. What about the refund or the credit the customer gets? Where does that come from?
Yeah, so that comes from us. So the seller's paying us to get them a sale, get them this feedback, get them the whole package, right? And then we ship that to the buyer. So so that's kind of the transaction. That's how the transaction goes. Yeah. And then we have all the controls in place to make sure that the buyer is acting in good nature, they're leaving good feedback, providing value to sellers, not returning products, not trying to resell, all that kind of stuff. We just handle all of that. And even if there's an issue with the product, we're like, come to us, talk to us first. And then if we need to talk to the seller, we'll do that. But we want to make it as seamless as possible for these brands to get new customers without having any issues.
Yeah, cool. Is there anything else I should be asking about BrandExpand? Anything I haven't asked?
No, I mean, what we'll do though is we can do $100 to wallets if anyone signs up, even if they go on free. We'll do BX Candy 100 for you guys. You can put it in the show notes.
Cool.
And then BX Candy 100. I just made that up, but I think that'll be fine. We'll create a promo code. So if you sign up for freemium or any plan, when you sign up, it'll ask you for a promo code. If you put that in, it'll drop $100 in your wallet, and then you can essentially test the software for free and just see how it works. And then we'd love to get you on a call. You can go to the website, click on in the upper right. There's request a demo. We have a whole team that will show you how it works and go from there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
so
thanks, John.
we will have one final section of the podcast to ask you your controversial take. So do you have any controversial, debatable opinions relating to Amazon or the e-commerce industry in general?
I know this is what Amazon sellers don't want to hear, but I think there's going to be a pretty large exodus away from Amazon in the coming years. And we're kind of already seeing that. The reason why I exited what I did and kind of went into more of software based is like Amazon's squeezing margins. And if you look at their whole business model, which is providing the most value to customers, right? They're extremely customer centric. They're going to try to get the lowest price. Third-party sellers, unfortunately, kind of throw a wrench in that whole model of offering the lowest possible price. So you see Amazon buying up these manufacturing facilities and literally being that entire supply chain. And when you own the supply chain, and like we own our vertically integrated SaaS, you can lower pricing considerably. And unfortunately, it's just going to be a situation where sellers just don't have margin, and a lot of them don't already. I did this study where I think I asked over 100 sellers what their profit margins were over the years, and it was a clear, no matter how big they were, 7, 8, even 9 figures or higher, it didn't matter. Their margins were diminishing over the years, and it's a very smart way for Amazon to kind of edge into that monopolistic, anti-competitive arena without it seeming monopolistic, right? Because it's like, well, we're increasing fees because we have to, or we're increasing fees to improve the customer experience, or we're putting these policies in place to improve the customer experience. All the while, sellers are getting squeezed more and more and more. So it's just very convenient, I think. So that would be my controversial take is I think there's going to be a pretty mass exodus. These sellers are going to go to TikTok. They're going to go to Walmart. They're going to go to whatever platform makes sense. If you're selling animal products, you'll go to Chewy. And we're going to see a lot more diversification in terms of marketplaces and them selling very like narrow niche products. Like you'll see Etsy selling the craft homemade products. You'll see Walmart, maybe sports and outdoors and food and beverage. Amazon's going to sell a bunch. They're still going to be dominant for a long time. Chewy's going to sell pet products. You're going to see these really narrow, these marketplaces selling very specific products, and sellers are going to migrate to those. And even though they might have the same sales, they're going to have higher margins, and it's going to offset. So that would be my controversial take. We'll see. Who knows what's going to happen?
We'll see. I mean, when we started selling, they thought everyone would be buying through Alexa and audio devices by the early 2020s. There's something someone said at a conference I was at. That didn't happen. We don't say, order me some random thing.
Well, now they're trying to get at you on Prime, right? You're watching a movie on Prime and they have a commercial on the product and then they show it.
I haven't seen that. Like, I don't have Prime here where I live. I've only got Netflix.
They're like, click here and you can buy it through Prime.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's.
I can imagine that'd be super cool if you could just buy everything in the set. Like when I'm watching this podcast with you, and I'm like, I'd like that water cooler and that cool little astronaut on the planet over there. And it's like I can buy it and have it delivered to my house.
Yeah, dude, right. It's crazy, but that's what they're doing. They're like, they'll do Amazon commercials and then they'll have a link to buy right from Prime. I haven't tried it because I'm like, I'm not going to be that type of consumer.
Not far down consumerism yet. Yeah, there your future kids bought it though,
Yeah.
Love it. So thank you so much. So what action should people take? You've already said they can go there, they can sign up with the code BXCandy100, they can go and book in a demo. Anything else if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just throw my email, Seth@BrandExpand.io, if you want to reach out to me directly. I don't mind. Otherwise, success@BrandExpand.io is our success team. And otherwise book a demo, get in contact with our team, and we'd love to show you how the platform works, dive into it a little bit more, kind of pull the curtains back and show you behind the scenes. So
amazing. Cool. Seth, thank you so much for taking the time and being on the podcast. And I'll talk to you very soon. Everyone that is listening or watching, thank you so much. Please do rate us, give us feedback. It all helps us go up the rankings because we don't have a BrandExpand to boost our podcast. Maybe it would work. I'm not sure. But see you all next week. And thank you for being here.